I got back last night and stayed up until probably like everybody until 1 a.m, talking to people and texting people, and then, on X, looking at the reaction. And I woke up this morning and I thought to myself, that's really not the way at all, to sit and marinate in the hate, which I did. I couldn't help it. It's like pornography or snuff videos or something. You're just like mesmerized by it. It's like watching, a tragedy over and over. Not the violence, but the hate. I mean, I must have watched 15 videos of young women celebrating Charlie's death.
You want to know why I'm so fucking stoked? Go ahead and Google Charlie Kirk. Go ahead, read the latest headlines and you'll see why I'm so fucking
There are some people on this app that are sitting there saying, oh, you shouldn't wish death upon any person, no matter what side they're on. Fuck that. Charlie Kirk was a fucking Nazi. He was a fucking Nazi. And you know what kind of Nazi is the best Nazi? A dead one. Thank God that shit stain of a person is no longer in this world. And may his hell be being confronted by every single marginalized person that he hurt.
My first thought was, well, this is obviously some kind of, manufactured attempt to divide the country against itself, and it's probably all fake. And then you look, and it's actually not fake. Here's a teacher from an elementary school in Idaho, and here's a yoga instructor from West Hollywood, and these are like real people with real names. And I was just, I couldn't turn away. And then I realized when I woke up this morning, that's really hurting me. And I woke up to a group text from my wife, to our family text. Of course, everyone knew Charlie. He was just at our house, and very upset for a bunch of different reasons. And she sent Luke 6, which is like the most radical thing that anyone's ever said. And it's like, no. Love your enemies. Pray for your persecutors. When someone assaults you, don't fight back. Which is impossible, of course. I mean, no one can do that. And it literally takes supernatural intervention for anyone to live that way, much less to feel that way. And that's what's called for, is supernatural intervention. I mean, you can take all kinds of steps. We do need to restore order in the country, and no one's kind of done that for the last 50 years. And this is the end result of true disorder. And by order, by the way, that doesn't mean authoritarian behavior or limiting people's constitutional rights or races. There's nothing like that. I mean, order is the key to happiness and peace. Order is what God creates out of chaos at the beginning of Genesis. Like, order is a prerequisite for joy. So we need order. We don't have it. I hope it's restored. But much more deeply, people need to be transformed and see each other as God sees them, including their enemies, as human beings who are doing bad things but are still created by God. Like, without that worldview, then you descend into hell. In fact, you already live there, which is where, in some sense, we live now. And boy, that just became clear because it happened to me. I mean, I was sitting there fuming and despair and like, by the way, what was this? So let me just say quickly about Charlie. I've known him since he was a teenager, and just an amazing person. But the two things that stick out, he's a Christian man. And we talked about that a lot, including, just the other day. There's a lot of pressure on public people, people who run huge, $100 million a year nonprofits, and there are a lot of pitfalls and traps. That's why so many of them are destroyed. And Charlie really did, without, betraying details, like, he walked the line for real. It was the topic of many conversations between us, because I've seen so many people destroyed. Most people are destroyed by power, and he wasn't. And I just really admire that. I mean, to his last moments, in order, he cared about God, his wife, and his children, and then his country. So, and that was totally real, completely real. I can affirm that because I just talked to him about it so much. And I admire that, and he's a model, really. I mean, he didn't have hate in his heart. And it was funny, and again, that's one of the reasons I couldn't stop looking at these videos last night. People were describing the opposite of what he was. He was filled with hate. No. And if you talk to him about people who had attacked him or who were truly his enemies, up to, and I think including the people who assassinated him yesterday, he would never, ever express hate, ever. He would always turn to, no, this person has been led astray. This person is clearly possessed by dark forces. This person is a perpetrator, but also a victim of evil. I mean, that really was his worldview. That's the Christian worldview. And he expressed that in public and especially in private. And I think that faith, which was completely real, not the fake faith that you see on display so often, but a real one, that was the root of his courage. And he had real courage. He loved being with people who disagreed with him, not theoretically with them, but physically with them, like close enough to smell. He would wade right into the middle of everything. I could tell you a million stories that I saw. He was one of the only people, truly one of the only people to go to the president whom he loved. He loved Donald Trump, like personally as well. And I think the president really loved him in a real way. But he was one of the only people to go to the Oval Office and say, sir, I totally understand and think Iran's really bad, but a war with Iran is not, is something that could really hurt our country. Boy, that was an unpopular position. He didn't need to express it. Oh, of course. And he did it again. He didn't have some weird agenda. He wasn't mad at anybody. He was for his country and he was for doing the right and wise and difficult thing. And he said that. He went to the Oval Office to say that. He took massive abuse from his own donors, which is also something that you don't see people. And he loved his donors. It wasn't a hostile thing, but they had a different view. A lot of them, not all, but a lot. If you talk to him off camera, he would say, I really, I love whoever I'm talking about, but I think this is wrong. It's immoral. It's bad for everybody involved, both sides. And he would say that, and he could say that because it was sincere. It was completely sincere, but I cannot overstate the amount of attacks he took privately over this, absolutely for real. And having lived in Washington most of my life and seen people run nonprofits, I've never met one who was willing. Stand up is too strong. He wasn't confrontational, but he would just say, no, I'm sorry that you feel that way, but I think this is the right thing. The people we represent, which is mostly young people, they believe this, and I believe it also. It was brave, but loving at the same time. And I'm not sure he made a lot of headway, by the way. I think he made real enemies in doing that, but his view didn't change. Anyway, he was just a wonderfully decent, loving man. That is true.
Listening to Tucker Carlson narrate this, I couldn't help but remember something Charlie once said that left a mark on me. Courage is not about fighting harder, it's about standing firm when everyone else caves. He lived that truth until the very end, and it ties directly to another line I came across recently. When people stop talking, destruction begins. When spouses stop talking, marriages collapse. When nations stop talking, wars erupt. And when we lose the human connection with those we disagree with, violence suddenly feels justifiable. For me, that's the deepest wound here. Charlie never lost that human connection, even with his enemies. And it reminds me of a paradox I can't shake. The body is durable, yet so fragile. Durable enough to carry conviction through endless storms, yet fragile enough to be taken in a single instant. That truth, carried through Tucker's words in Charlie's life, is something I'll never forget.